Chapter. We're talking real money.
You know, I was really sweating this podcast because toward the end of the summer, our question count has dropped dramatically. Apparently, we've answered every question we can possibly answer. Hi, everybody. I'm Don McDonald. This is the Friday Q&A edition, and this is a short version because we don't have as many questions. So welcome to the short version of Q&A. And remember, you can send questions in at talkingrealmoney.com on the contact form. You can speak them, which puts them on the Friday podcast, or you can type them, that puts them on other podcasts. You can also call us on Saturdays for conversation at 855-935-TALK between the hours of 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, noon to Pacific. Okay? Did I cover everything? Still traveling across the country. Heading east this time in a beeline, more of a beeline for home because I'd really like to get back to normalcy as opposed to recording in a trailer. Not that it's bad. I just prefer my studio. So thanks for the questions we got. Again, send your questions in at talkingrealmoney.com. And from there comes this one.
Hi, Don. I am a 73-year-old school teacher at an independent school in New York. I will be retiring in the next year, and I will receive a $300,000 lump sum when I retire. I'm not asking how to invest that money because I know that's dependent on other factors like what I need as income going forward. But I am concerned about the tax implications, and I wonder if you could advise me on what the best way to avoid paying a large amount of tax on my retirement fund. It doesn't seem right to me that I'm going to be taxed on an amount of money that is, for all intents and purposes, a 401, even though it's not technically a 401. I'm curious as to what you think about this. Thank you so much.
Well, I really appreciate the quality of your mic. If people had good mics attached to their computers or some of the newer phones with great mics, this would sound even better than it does. Thank you so much for that. All right. Again, we're into one of these. I know you covered one, it depends scenario, which is where it should go. But avoiding taxes is also an it depends scenario. It depends on the nature of this lump sum distribution because you didn't tell me what kind of lump sum distribution it is. If it is a lump sum distribution from a qualified pension, because it doesn't sound like it's 403B, although it could be a 403B. If it's a 403B distribution, then the same rule would apply. If a distribution is from a qualified plan, the key word here is qualified, and you can ask your administrator this question. If it is a distribution from a qualified plan, then it is eligible to be rolled into an IRA through either the 60-day rollover where you take possession or the direct rollover. Either way. Got to get it in 60 days. That's the deadline. And then you can invest it anywhere you want. You can go to Schwab, you can go to Fidelity, you can go to Vanguard, whomever, and build the right portfolio for you, again, based on your personal circumstance. So the key here is the word qualified. If it's qualified, it can be rolled over. If it is some other kind of cash distribution and non-qualified, then it gets treated probably as income, which means you're going to pay some taxes on it. And if it's non-qualified for whatever reason, you might want to talk to your employer about spreading it out over a couple of years to reduce the percentage tax hit. A little tax planning might be wise. Thank you so much for your question. Be sure to send your question in at talkingrealmoney.com, talkingrealmoney.com on the contact form, and let's do the next one, shall we?
Hello, Tom and Don. I recently turned 59 years old in March. In my 20s, I had a financial advisor that had me invested in American funds for my traditional IRA and Roth IRA. Here in the last couple of years, we ceased working together. I since transferred my funds from under his care over to Fidelity. Once I transferred over to Fidelity, I was informed that I could no longer add to my positions because they do not do business with American funds. Since I turned 59 and a half next month, would it be wise to transfer out of these American funds into VT and or VTI? Between the two, I have about $40,000. Thank you for your help. I appreciate your show.
Thanks for the call. The question, not really a call, the question. Thanks for that. Yeah, good news is it's all in an IRA. It doesn't matter what your age, whatever age you are. If you want to change from those mutual funds that are loaded and higher fee into a non-loaded and much lower fee ETF like VT, you can do it. You can absolutely do it. And again, for the equity portion of your portfolio, see, I don't want to get into whether VT or whatever fund is right for you. It really depends on your tolerance for risk, your need to take risk, that kind of thing. But if it's going from equity funds to equity funds, then moving from American funds, equity funds into a VT would increase your diversification dramatically, would expose you to the whole market, although you're still going to be way overweighted in large cap growth, but that's okay. And would reduce your expense ratio dramatically and cost you nothing to invest in the future. So I think that is a wise strategy. The exact funds, again, depends on you, but VT is probably a pretty darn good choice because of its massive diversification. Thanks for your question. And now we only have one more. This is going to be the shortest Q&A in history. Here's the next one.
Hello, Don. Love the show. After every episode, there's this long disclaimer which includes this statement.
Aquila does not provide tax or legal advice.
So please answer me this. The Appella provides financial planning, and tax considerations would be part of any financial plan. So how do you reconcile that statement with what the services that Appella provides? Appreciate your answer. Thanks.
Well, thanks for the call. And remember, first, all disclaimers are written by attorneys. They're written in the traditional attorney confusing CYA format. What it means specifically, I would literally have to sit down with the attorney, and then I probably wouldn't be satisfied with the answer. But what it means generically, it basically refers to the program and the fact that when we are doing a program like this, a podcast, our advice is more suggestive than specific. It's more general in nature. It is not intended to be personalized advice, and certainly not intended to be a substitute for legal counsel. And I believe that's the gist of what that means, is that even an Appella advisor is not an attorney. Now, they'll give general investment advice that, of course, has a legal component to it because the laws dictate things we can and cannot do and the investments that are and are not appropriate. So it is, what's a good way to put this? It is parsing. It's not meant to say that we provide no advice, because we do and Appella does, but it's to, in our case, it's to remove any hint that what we're doing is trying to give you a personal financial plan in a podcast or a radio show, because we can't do that. And we say that all the time. That's impossible. So again, it's a disclaimer. Every disclaimer everywhere is confusing and rambling and designed exactly to be just that, confusing and rambling. But yeah, Appella provides advice and we try to provide help. That's all I can say. Thanks so much for the question. Thank you for all the questions. Thanks for being a part of the shortest Q&A episode in history. Please send in your questions to talkingrealmoney.com so that we can have a busier one next time. Either type them up or speak them at talkingrealmoney.com on the contact form. And please remember, every Saturday, 3 to 5 Eastern, call us live at 855-935-TALK, 855-935-8255. And if you would like to spend a little time with an advisor talking about more specific planning, but again, not getting a full plan, we make our advisors available at Appella to anybody and for a reasonable period of time with no obligatory anything and certainly no high-pressure sales pitch. You're not going to get pitched like you will everywhere else. Everybody wants to close. We don't. We just want to help. And then turns out that builds business. Well, thanks for being there. I'm Don. We'll be back soon. Tom and I talking real money. And here's my daughter reading that really long disclaimer that you all love so much.
The opinions and views expressed on this podcast were current on the date recorded. Opinions, estimates, forecasts, and statements of financial market trends that are based on current market conditions constitute our judgment and are subject to change without notice, including any forward-looking estimates or statements which are based on certain expectations and assumptions. Although information and opinions given have been obtained from or based on sources believed to be reliable, no warranty or representation is made as to their correctness, completeness, or accuracy. Information presented on the podcast is not personalized investment advice from Appella Wealth. The views and strategies described may not be suitable for everyone. This podcast does not identify all the risks, direct or indirect, or other considerations which might be material to you when entering any financial transaction. Past performance does not guarantee future results, and profitable results cannot be guaranteed. We hope you realize that the information provided on Talking Real Money is for informational, educational, and hopefully enjoyable purposes only. The podcast is not trying to get you to buy or sell any financial products or securities. Instead, the program is provided as a public service by Appella Wealth, a fee-only registered investment advisor. Please see Appella Wealth's ADV Part 2A on our website for information regarding Appella's fees and services. Appella Capital, LLC, DBA Appella Wealth, is an investment advisory firm registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The firm only transacts business in the states where it is properly registered or excluded or exempt from registration requirements. Registration with the SEC or any state securities authority does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Appella does not provide tax or legal advice, and nothing either stated or implied here should be inferred as providing such advice. Thanks for listening, and please visit TalkingRealMoney.com for more information and important disclosure related to performance of any specific index or fund quoted in this podcast. And the lawyers get richer.